Why is rapport so important? Stay tuned. This is Damon Cart from NLP Gym. Why is rapport so important? If you haven't already, please click subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can get these videos on a regular basis. And by the way, NLP Gym channel here on YouTube just surpassed 10,000 subscribers. So thank you so much for subscribing to this channel. I'm here in beautiful Singapore at the Botanical Gardens, which is quite amazing. You should be able to see some of this behind me. I've never quite seen anything like it. It's almost like being on a different planet. So why is rapport so important in NLP? If you've done an NLP training or you've read a book on NLP, you have probably heard the word rapport repeatedly, just over and over and over. It's not something that NLP created. In fact, most of what NLP is not so much a creation, but an understanding of how we process things as humans, our cognitive processes, and which are mostly unconscious, and bringing them into consciousness. So with rapport, what it is basically is it's what we naturally do anyway when you're with someone and you're feeling trusting and familiar with that person, and you'll see things come up, like you'll start to match and mirror that person. Your breathing will start to be similar to theirs. And what that is basically an indication of is that you're feeling in rapport with this person. You're feeling like you're trusting them, like you're familiar with them, and you're more willing to do or be persuaded by them. You're more willing to stay in rapport with them, and by staying in rapport with them, you have to go along with what they do. So if they change their posture, you change yours. If you change up your breathing, they change their breathing. And at the same time, this is how we get people to buy things if you're in sales, because they trust you. And this is how we get people to go through a transformation, a guided transformation. Without rapport, these things don't work. Think about a time when you were talking to someone, or you were having a conversation with someone, and you just couldn't see eye to eye. You just couldn't seem to work things out with them. And it's not that they were a bad person, or they were doing bad things, or it's not that you didn't even like them, it's just you couldn't connect. And because you couldn't connect with them, you felt the need to get away from them. It just didn't feel comfortable. It didn't feel familiar. You didn't feel like you could trust them. Well, you were out of rapport. And if you can drop into a time when you experience that with someone, imagine go back to that time as if they're right in front of you right now, and then try to imagine persuading them to do something. Or try imagining persuading them to buy something from you, or to do an NLP process with you. It's just not happening. That's because you're not in rapport. So rapport, everything happens in rapport. Rapport is when you're able to get them to follow you. And you don't know when it's time for you to lead, because that's what pacing and leading is. You won't know when it's time to lead that person if you don't understand, or you can't consciously know, or you don't consciously know when you're in rapport with that person. And you consciously know when you're in rapport with that person. You'll look for certain signs, and that's what we learned in NLP, is to look for the breathing, to look for if that person is following you. When you change your body posture, or you make a gesture and suddenly they do the same thing, or a few seconds later they do the same thing, that's when you know you're in rapport, and you can lead them at that point. So the importance of rapport is everything happens in rapport. Rapport has to happen first. You have to be in rapport before you can get them to cross the finish line on that sale, when you're able to persuade them to buy something from you, because they're not going to do it if they don't trust you. Rapport is when you can guide someone through a transformation. They will trust you and they'll go along with it. If you don't have that, they can go through the process with you, but it's probably not going to work. And the same thing with sales. you might be able to be pushy enough with someone that they will buy from you. But if they do that, then they're going to have buyer's remorse, and they're not going to buy anything else from you. And that's not the type of clientele you want. You want someone who will buy from you and come back and buy more, and also tell everyone else what a great experience it was. That's how you want to sell things, and rapport will enable you to do that. And then with NLP processes, if you're a coach or you're a therapist, the person has to trust you. And like I said, you can go through that process with them. You can walk them through the process, but there doesn't mean they're going to have that transformation, and they won't if you're not in rapport with them, if they don't trust you. So if you're doing great sales presentations and people aren't buying from you, or you're a coach or a therapist and you know NLP processes really well, and you have them memorized and you practice them, but they're not working, go back to rapport. A lot of people try to skip the step of rapport, and consequently, the processes don't work. They can't make them work. So it's super important that you go back to rapport. When I say go back to rapport, if you lose rapport with someone, you can always go back and get it. It's not like you've lost it for good. It's not like that's the end. You can keep moving forward, and you can get that rapport back. And NLP teaches you how to do that. Not only how to recognize when you're in rapport, but also to develop those skills to create rapport rapidly. And that's why rapport is so important. Check out my website, nlp-gym.com. Follow me on Facebook for real-time updates on talks, trainings, and workshops that I do live and also online. Also, we'll be hosting Dr. Matt November 4th in Santa Cruz, California. If you are in the area or you want to fly in, it was totally worth it. It is at Hotel Paradox, November 4th. There will be 3 talks, one on persuasion, one on creating yourself or creating your identity, and one on personal branding. Regardless if you have a business or are into social media, you need personal branding no matter what. It's the same thing as like having a LinkedIn account. It's super important. Also, if you'd like some free NLP training, go to the website, nlp-gym.com. You'll find some free NLP training there. You can check it out, see if it's right for you. Also, remember, subscribe to this channel and hit the bell. Make sure you get updates when I put out new videos. Also, if you like this video, please click like as well, right down here. Take care.